Y'all might well start calling me Mr. Questions himself because I love to ask all the questions. Will we ever understand mental illness? Mental illness is one of the most misunderstood conversations in the world because everybody want to diagnose somebody, but nobody want to understand them. If somebody acts selfish, we call them a narcissist. If somebody get angry, we say they crazy. If somebody shut down, we say they weak. If somebody commits a crime, we say they evil. Somebody changes overnight, we say that's just who they was all along. But what if it's a deeper truth to that? What if we don't understand mental illness because we only pay attention after the damage is already done? And that's where we at. We don't study the signs. We don't study the pain. We don't respect the pain. We don't pay attention to the pattern. We don't listen to the pattern. We wait until somebody explodes, then we get shocked by the fire, and that's the problem. Mental illness is not always somebody rocking back and forth in the corner. It don't always look like that. Sometimes it's the person smiling every single day while losing their mind in the inside. Sometimes it's the mother who cannot get out of bed. Sometimes it's the man who starts drinking more, disappearing more, starts snapping more. Sometimes it's the teenager who stopped caring about life because life started feeling like an illusion. Life stopped feeling real. Sometimes it's the person who needs help, but all they get is judgment. That's it. Now, let me be clear. Mental illness doesn't excuse evil. It doesn't excuse murder. It doesn't excuse sex crimes. It doesn't excuse robbery. It doesn't excuse attacking innocent drivers, strangers, children, women, or anybody else for that matter. Pain may explain behavior, but pain doesn't erase accountability. And that's the bigger play. It's always a bigger play to the message and the method. We have to be mature enough to say two things at the same time. Something may actually be wrong with you, but you still responsible for what you do. Because society getting dangerous when every bad action get turned into a diagnosis. Some people are mentally ill. They really are. Some people are traumatized. Some people have addictions and are addicted. Some people are broken. And some people are actually making the choice to choose destruction. We can't confuse and conflate everything. Can't do that. We have to accept reality, which is what so many people don't want to do. Because when we mislabel everything, that's not helping anybody. Mislabeling doesn't help anybody. A narcissist is not just somebody who disagrees with you. A narcissist is not just your ex. It's not just somebody who hurt your feelings. We turn a lot of these clinical words into weapons. Not everybody a narcissist. I actually think it's a possibility we living in a narcissistic age. But hey, we're trying to talk facts. Everybody toxic. I hear this, everybody gaslighting. Everybody trauma bonded. Everybody healing. Well, are we really healing? Or are we just finding new words to avoid accountability? And this is where these conversations began to get uncomfortable, because mental illness is very, very real, but so is manipulation. Trauma is very real, but so is character. Depression is real, but so is your ass being lazy. Anxiety is real, but so is avoidance. Addiction, very, very real, but so is choosing to hurt people while asking that same said person to understand you. We have to stop using pain as a passport to damage somebody else. Now look at society. You got store robberies. You got random acts of violence, random attacks. You got people crashing out on a regular every day in traffic. You got senseless murders. You got sex crimes. You got people recording violence as if it's entertainment. You got kids with no emotional control and adults that don't have no shame. Families destroyed by people who never got help, never got an intervention, never got any correction. And everybody asking, what happened? But is that the real question? Or should we be asking, and what did we miss? What did we ignore? What did we let get past? What did we not address? I'm under the impression that most people don't wake up dangerous. It's usually a sign. It's usually some signs that give way to certain behaviors: obsession, anger, isolation, paranoia, substance abuse, sudden personality changes, talking reckless, no empathy, possibly sexual boundary issues, violent fantasies, seeing something happen to somebody to show no remorse. And one of the most devastating ones that I see is no fear of consequences. But we ignore it because we don't want to get involved. So we sit back and do nothing about it. Now, when it become a headline, then everybody become an expert on these podcasts, on these platforms. We knew something was off. That person changed. They were warning signs. He was acting different. I saw it coming. All cap. So if that's the case, why didn't nobody act before the tragedy? Why I had to get to the extreme? Because we don't take mental health serious until it becomes something that's damaging publicly or personally. And this is why we may never understand mental illness, because understanding requires responsibility, not just sympathy, responsibility. Families have to stop hiding dysfunction. Parents have to stop pretending your goddamn kids is okay. Men have to stop suffering in silence. Women have to stop being told they just emotional. Communities have to stop laughing at the person who's clearly having a fucking breakdown. Gotta stop. The system has to stop waiting until somebody commits red wrong before offering help. Jail is not a mental health plan. And hashtags ain't healing nothing. We need prevention, acknowledgement, accountability, intervention, help with our education, our emotional abilities. We need emotional education. We need people to know the difference between sadness and depression, confidence or narcissism, anger and danger, trauma and criminal behavior. We need the difference between a bad day and a breakdown. Misunderstanding could get your ass killed. Misunderstanding mental illness can get people killed. And over excusing it could get people killed too. If somebody dangerous, they need help, but they also need boundaries. If somebody is unstable, they need support, but they also need distance. If somebody is harming or hurting people, they need intervention and not just compassion. Love without boundaries become permission to go do that shit. And compassion without accountability gonna equal chaos at some point. Sometimes, just like that. So will we ever understand mental illness? Maybe not completely, because the human mind is so deep. Trauma can disguise itself and hide pain. And some people don't even understand themselves. But what we can understand is people need help, intervention, before they become harmful. And words do matter. Labels do matter. Accountability is one of the main emphasis when it comes to this thing about what matters. And we cannot continue to call everything mental illness just because we don't want to call certain things evil, irresponsible, dangerous, or untreated. We need a society that is compassionate enough to help people, but strong enough to protect innocent people, because the victims matter too. The person who got robbed, they matter. The person who got attacked, they matter. The child who was violated, they matter. The person who got murdered matter. The family left grieving, they matter. We can not only study the mind of the offender and forget the life of the victim. That's not understanding. That's an imbalance. And a real understanding would say, help the broken before they break somebody else. Hold the guilty accountable when they do. And stop pretending mental health is the only important thing when it trends. Because mental illness is not entertainment. Even though we see it every day and people think it's a buzzword. It's not a social media diagnosis. You can't diagnose that. It's not a shield for evil behavior and evil actions to continue and run rampant. It's an actual, very real human fucking crisis. And until we learn the difference between pain, pathology, personality, and personal choice, we're going to keep asking the same question after every tragedy. Why the hell did this happen? When the real answer is, you know how it happened. You saw them signs. You didn't do nothing about it. We just don't know what to do with them. Is that the reality? Is that the reality? Because the shit I'm seeing, these platforms, social media, allow to be seen, is very troubling. Very, very troubling.